Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Keely Anderson and I'm here to do a little lesson. I hope you guys are having a great morning. It's sunny out. I'm glad you're inside and wanting to learn about something that might be good for you to have in your head for the future. So today we're going to talk about all things bridal. I know some of you love the industry, some of you might not be interested in the industry, but hopefully today I can teach you a few things that might make you think a little bit differently about it. Today we're going to do a number of things. We're going to start just with a little discussion on maybe you guys have already booked brides this season and you're wondering what to do about deposits and things like that. Also, I'm going to do a demo then. We're going to move straight into a demo for a roller set. While that roller set is setting, we'll talk about some current trends as well as what to kind of expect in this industry. There's a lot of things that I wouldn't mind bringing to your attention of what it's all about, just to give you a better idea if you, want to be in the industry, just to give you a bit more knowledge and insight into it. Then we're going to do a little demo, kind of just like sort of a hairpin, just with one of the current trends that's going on. I thought maybe you guys had the stuff at home and you could jazz up your updo that you're going to be assigned to do later on. After that, we'll complete the demo. So we'll take out the roller set and then I'll show you, just how to construct a messy chignon that's definitely trending. It's always kind of trends in the industry. So it's a great hairstyle to know and understand how to execute. It's not that difficult. It's just the roller set is everything in an updo, and we'll talk about that later. Then we're going to add our pins, and then we will talk quickly just about the assignment, and that is about it. So let's get started. Oh, also, I wanted to mention too that at the end, we'll do a question period. So after I've kind of done any questions you have, maybe just write down on a piece of paper, and I'd be happy to answer them at the end. Also, I will be Zooming tomorrow between 10 and 12, so if there's anything else, I'll bring it up at the beginning. If there's things that were just kind of left unsaid, or you maybe didn't get a chance to throw in a question at the end, I'll definitely be able to check in with you about that tomorrow. So Zooming, same time, 10 to 12 o'clock. Right, so let's just talk about your season coming up. I had, I think, 3 brides that I've had to postpone, that have canceled. Now, it was a thing where I was like, I don't know really what to do. I have accepted deposits, and I obviously am in a bit of a hardship as well, as we all are. A deposit is a guarantee for the date, and I always take deposits just because that date is a very important date for me to have, and if someone wants that date, they need to deposit with me, because if I don't get that deposit and they cancel at the last minute, that's a big lucrative day that I've lost money for. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. So I did some research online just about what other makeup artists are doing and other hairstylists are doing in situations like this. And just because this is a pandemic and it's something we've never really experienced before, the advice that I've kind of decided to sort of go with is just about being compassionate. I will be giving deposits back. I will potentially try to keep them as clients and maybe book them in the future, but a lot of the bookings with brides starts with the photographers and the venues. So if I've got, in the fall, I think I have 2 more weddings. I work a lot in the film industry, so for me to do weddings, it's a bit too much, because often I work late Friday nights and weddings are very early Saturday mornings, and I just probably wouldn't be in the best of spirits to pull through getting home at 3 and then up at maybe 5. So I take a few that I just know are long-term clients that I've had, or it's like a daughter of a client, or, you know, just because I do love it. And I was thinking when I was preparing for this lesson that I really do miss the industry. It's a really fun industry. It's a lot of work, but it's very lucrative, and it's amazing. So I decided that if I was going to be, I'm going to just be compassionate, I'm going to be flexible. If these brides choose maybe next spring and I don't have a booking for that day, I will take it and put them in there, and hopefully it all works out. Now again, if the photographer that they want so desperately has a date that I've already got a booking for, I will do the honorable thing and give the money, the deposit back. You have to remember that people will remember how you handled yourself professionally, and if you take their deposit, they're not going to refer you. And what is it they say, if you have, you know, an experience, a good experience with someone, you might tell 2 people, but if you have a bad experience, you'll tell 20. It kind of goes the same way. And Vancouver being kind of a smaller industry, I know a lot of other makeup artists that are working and hairstylists that are working, and things do get around. So I would just exercise compassion and be flexible, and yeah, I think that that's the best way, and that's what I would recommend. Okay, so that's enough about that. Let's start with our updo, or our roller set. So when I do brides and have weddings, often you do to the bride, and you'll often do their hair and makeup. That's usually how I do it. And then I usually have assistants do the bridesmaids, but then I usually sometimes have time to do the bridesmaids. I often do the mother of the bride just because sometimes my assistants don't have as much experience with mature skin, so I might take on that. But I do like to do a roller set. I could do a roller set with a curling iron, and that's fine, but it just does take longer. And I find that doing the roller set, if I have an idea of how my hairstyle is going to go and how I want my updo to look, if I use a roller set, I can do all the planning in the roller set, and that way when I take it out, it's like maybe 15 minutes of getting it in the updo. Whereas if I do a curling iron, sometimes it's just, it stays flat on the top, and then I have to go in and do a lot more back combing, and a roller set will actually take the root and make sure that the root stands up, and then that will help with the volume and just overall style, the way the whole look comes together. Okay, so I'm going to start my roller set. So I'm going to be standing up here, and I'm going to teach you guys first how to section. Molly's back. She says hi. She's been with me a lot this week. Prep-wise for an updo, you are going to, I like to add, I have this Kevin Murphy product. It is a shimmer shine, and it's really nice because it just kind of sets the hair just so it's, if we're styling a messy chignon, it's a chignon is French for bun, so messy bun. You want it messy, but you don't want it dry and messy, because then it looks not very wedding friendly. Maybe for a sun-kissed beach look like we talked about last week, a little dry, updo, whatever, messy, that style, that's suitable. But for a bride, you need it to be finished. And I think shine is a really nice way of keeping a messy chignon not looking messy. So I'm going to just take this and spray it just a little bit, and I'll do it after as well. I've just taken out the top section just so I could save a little time. I'm just going to brush it through, and it just gives a little bit more sheen. I didn't actually dry the doll wash her hair from the last session I did, and we had a lot of sea salt in there. But the shine just kind of, it just adds a bit more and takes away a bit of the dullness that can happen. All right, I'm going to pull up this section as well. Give her a little spritz. And just brush it through. Whoops. And then I'm just going to leave this section because I want to talk about this. So the first section I'll take out of the hair is the top section. And it'll be the first section I roll because I want to make sure her hair stands straight up and the root direction actually changes. The way you determine the updo that I'm going to do isn't going to have a part, so it's going to sort of all be sort of pulled back. So the way you determine where you're going to start your section is at the arch of the eyebrow. So her arch, her highest arch is about here. So then I'm just going to go directly above that. Again, on this side, directly above that. So that kind of starts that section. Then I'm going to take the section and I'm going to go all the way back and actually include the crown area. So if you can see, it's going all the way to the back. Can you guys all see that fine? And what my goal is, because Molly's a doll, her head's quite a bit smaller, and I would normally probably put 4 large rollers all the way along, but because Molly is a doll, she'll probably only get 3 in there. I'll maybe try to do a little more. Then I'm going to go down and section the other areas, and then we'll walk through that too. Okay, so let's just get started and get some rollers in. The other thing that's great about having a roller set for a wedding hair is it's something you can start, really plan really well what you're going to do, and then do her makeup, and then after the makeup's done, the hair's ready. Or just by having assistants do all the roller sets, you could even teach your assistants to do roller sets, and then you just bang off the updos if that works for you as well. All right, so I'm going to go and take my rollers here. I've got them heating up, so they're going to be nice and hot. Now, sometimes I know people use clips for the rollers. I tend to always use the wires. I like them. They leave less of a kink, and they're just easier to use. They might be a bit weird at first, but you'll get the hang of it once you start. So I'm going to actually take her hair here, just sort of twist it at the back, put a little clip in it, and then I'm going to start on the top here. Okay, so I can just let it go. So my first section, I'm just going to take, you want to take about the same size section as the width of the roller. So for example, I'm using this size roller, it's the biggest one. So I'd want to make sure that the hair that I'm taking, it can sit right there with it not having any, billowing and as well be kind of interfering with the next section that follows. So I'm going to take this up. Now the thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is because the tips here, you want them to be you actually want to start rolling and overextend, so that when you're rolling, I don't know if you can see that, you're not rolling straight down. If you roll straight down, you're going to interfere with the following section. So I know my hairstyle that I'm doing, my updo and the way I want it to fall, and I want this all to be rolled back, but I want the root straight, so therefore I am going to make sure that I overextend. So again, we do want to put in a bit of hairspray. I'm going to use the shaping spray for Joico. I really love it. It is the best one I've used, and yeah, I've used a lot, so I'm always happy to go back to that one. I did set her with some thermal spray. I also did that before the show, and that is just the Joico thermal spray as well, and that's really great. So again, I'm going to overextend. I'm going to get a nice hot one. And then I'm going to put there. Now I'm going to kind of hold it a bit taut. Then I'm going to pull in the ends. Now you can use your fingers. You can also use your comb and just put those ends up because you don't want them to be forgotten about or kink or bend. And then you're just going to take that, keeping it taut, and you're just going to get it nice. Nice and snug here. Molly's hair is a little unhealthy. It's got some breakage happening. I'm going to put this in. Now you're going to put it in kind of on an angle a little bit, and then you're going to take this top and just push it down, and it should stay. This one actually, I'm going to put it in the other way. That will make it stay. Perfect. Right. So just check and make sure that your root direction is good. Because it's the front bit, I will put a little more hairspray in. And you can see that it's on the section that it was taken from. All right, so we're going to carry on and do the next couple of sections here. This one's quite big, this section. I think I might let out a little bit on this end. Make it a little bit easier, give you more hair on the sides as well. So I'm going to put some shaping spray in. Definitely brush that through. If you don't brush your hairspray in, you'll just get crusty hair, and that's going to be hard when you take out the roller set. You just have a brush out all your curls that you put in so nicely. Again, overextending. I'm going to just tuck those in. You can use your comb if you want. I feel like I have calluses on my tips of my fingers. I don't feel the heat, so I'm good. A little bit more hairspray. And I need my pin here. So I'm going to pop that in and press it down, and then that stays again. Okay, like I said, I think I'm going to do this one in 3 here. I think I have enough. I'm going to pull a little bit of that out again. With the dolls, they don't have the same hair pattern as us, so the roller set or the parting is a little bit challenging sometimes. But practice updos, practice doing them quickly, and it'll help you. Okay. Another big guy. And then overextending again, ends under, roll it down. And then we'll just put that back in again, push it down, and there you go. All right, so now we've got our first 3 rollers in. Takes us all the way to the back of the head here as well. Now we'll do the sides. Okay, so let's section out how we're gonna do this. So we're gonna start sort of at the second roller, pretty much the end, go down, and you should go down to the back. Oh, I think she's sitting on some of her, of the ear. So gauge this, because it's different on everybody. Some people have really not a lot of hair in this section, so think about how you're gonna roll it. So I'm just gonna take, because she's a doll, I'm gonna just take a tiny bit more, but not too much more. And then I'm just gonna mark that off. And then I'm gonna do the same on the other side here. Take it right down to the end. About that smudge. And I'll just take that and put that off to the side as well. Okay, the back section, I'm gonna see if you guys can see it on the side here. We're gonna take, and I'm gonna use the medium rollers. Now again, her head's small, so I'm gonna take sort of a section here, and it's gonna be sort of a triangle section. And I'm going to roll that. And then it kind of creates a straight across section and then another triangle here, and then we can easily do the back. So I'm actually just going to quickly throw those in right now. Again, a little bit of hairspray. Usually I'm standing on the other side. It's a bit strange, but it's working, so. All right, so I'm gonna just tuck it in that one little spot. This uses a different pin, put it down, and then you've got that. And I'm going to follow up on the other side. Get that triangle in there. A little hairspray. Actually, I want to take a little bit more from this section here. All right. Again, medium roller up. Twist that around. Pull it in. And we'll tuck that. Clip it with our pin. And then we've got that top section done. All right, so before we go into the back, let's do the sides. Oops, attach my wire. Put that back in here. Got in trouble last time. Video guy's crazy. Okay, so we're gonna take this section here. Now, we're gonna divide it into two. If we go straight across, we're gonna get that part. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take from sort of that side and slice it up. So again, I have two triangle pieces. I'm going to roll them the same way. I'm just going to take this here and just clip that. And then I'm just going to take this. Now you still want the roots up, or the tips up. And you're actually just going to roll it kind of in the same place. You don't have to roll it like it's in a triangle position. Big guy again, go up, and just keep it tight. Not too tight. Some people have very sensitive heads. I don't, but I've worked with many that get uncomfortable a little bit with pulling. So be attentive to your client. Again, up. Another thing too, you guys want to make sure is you plan your rollers. You don't want to do, the whole head half in one size and half another. It will be very obvious. So just make sure you work that out. I have 2 roller sets going today, just because I just want to make sure that I have the same number of rollers. I'm just going to fuss with this one a bit, guys. Sometimes you don't have room to put this in. Here, let's try again. Is that going to stay? Okay, good. Okay, so now we're going to do the other side. Same. Try to do it backwards again so you can maybe get a better view. All right, so there's my section. I'm just going to take this hair and just get it out of the way. Again, you want to make sure that when you're doing your roller set, you've planned it already, because I tell you the bride's going to be talking to you a lot about just, what's going to be going on. Oh, maybe I have to put that in again. My comb caught it. Deal with that in a bit. So make sure that you're available to be attentive. Okay, so again, I'm going to just take this and just turn it into 2 sort of triangle sections. Take this guy up. Just going to take this and pin this back here. Get it out of my way. A little bit of hairspray. Up we go. And kind of overextend if you can a little bit. Tuck those hairs in. You'll find too with some brides that you have, they have quite a bit of layers in their hair. Just make sure that you go as far as you can and get them all in. Otherwise it can be a bit challenging, and maybe it's better to do a curl set. Pop that in. She's going to stay. Again, this will go up. Big guy. And pop this in. Okay, so we've got that pretty good here. This one's always a hard one to get in because there's not a lot of room. Get it in and maybe just put it on a bit of an angle here. Maybe that'll help. Oh, the troubleshooting that you have to do, you guys. Maybe I'll put 2 pins in and see if that'll help too. There, good enough. Okay, so there she's done now in the top. And now we've got the back. So the back, we're just going to divide into 3 sections, and then we'll just start rolling down. So we'll take this section. I'm just going to make sure that's working backwards is a bit funny, but it's probably better for you guys, I think. I think that's about right. Okay. Now, because I have 2 roller sets going, I am going to actually take some bigger guys, just put them back in my other little set here. This is just one a bit easier to get at. And I'll probably do a big guy, maybe a medium, maybe 2 mediums, and then the same on each side here. All right, so I'm going to take this, and again, a little bit of hairspray, comb it through. Always make sure you comb it through before you put your roller in. It'll just make sure the curl is smoother and falls nicer as well. Pop it in, push it down. Okay. And I'm going to take this section here, medium, little bits of hairspray, and medium. Take it, get it right back into that section right here. Put it in. There we go. Same. So I'm going to just do that quick. Leaving a bit on the bottom, because when we get to the bottom, we're just going to divide that into 2 sections. There's not enough hair to do it the other way. Turn it around now that I've got going on. Big guy. Did I put hairspray in? Just make sure. Hairspray too can kind of take some of those flyaways, that breakage that you sort of see, and hold it all together. Wind around. Hope I have all these rollers going in the right direction. Doing it opposite is little bit, trying to think about what I say and what I do. Hopefully it's working. Take this again, put some hairspray in. And we're almost through. And then we'll talk about kind of what to expect in this industry. Okay, other side. Good, pull that straight up. Combing it again. Hairspray. Big guy. Roller down, keeping it nice and taut. Get it in that right spot. Clip it in. Same here. Hopefully that's about, oh, maybe a little less. Keep that. And a little bit of hairspray. Dips. Medium. Put another little pin in. And then when you get to the bottom here, there's a couple of things that you can do with, it depends sort of on how much hair the person has at the back, because you could divide it into three. It's nice if you have a section where you kind of make the triangle, again, just by the way it falls. So it seems like I've got more hair, and I kind of want to show you guys that way. So I'm going to take the triangle here. There's so many ways of doing roller sets. So there's no right way or a wrong way to do it. I'm gonna do medium again. You just gotta find what you like and what works for you. Put that in. Pushing it down. So we'll copy that on the other side, and then we'll do the middle one last. Oh, I just have to look here. So again, to the side. Then you've got a triangle piece sort of right there. These ones are really hard to totally get the roots to the ceiling, or the tips to the ceiling. Just do your best. Comb that through. Medium. Those tips in. There we go, clip it in. Might be a bit, it's gonna stay, yay. Okay, and then we've got our last little bit here. Tips to the ceiling. These pieces too, we want to make sure that lift goes up, because it'll be much nicer at the back when you do your updo if all your roots are up. Otherwise it will sag at the bottom and just look a little bit less professional and not as flattering, obviously, for the lady wearing it. Okay, and then I'm just going to tuck this guy in. I can't really see what's happening, but put this guy in. And then our roller set is complete. So I might want to roll that front one just once more, because I'm not going to want that kink there from this. So, and I think I might even put a new hot one in as well. How's the curl looking? See, it's getting a nice, beautiful curl already, which is perfect. Give it one little brush. Okay. Most important piece. The one thing about doing an updo is the front has to look nice. Doesn't matter how beautiful it is in the back. If the front is messed up, and the bride doesn't like the way she looks from the front, it's not a good job. So really make sure that you, and I'll talk about that when I'm styling it, that when you do the front part, I always kind of position it a little bit, give the bride a mirror and to say, do you like the way it's looking? And then she'll say, oh, you know, maybe too much volume or more volume, and then you can make those changes, and then you're ready to go, and then that's all settled up at the front, and then you can keep busy in the back. Okay. So let's take a break from that, and we're going to talk about a few other things, expectations for this industry. Okay. So I'm just going to move a few things here so I don't burn myself, because that will happen. Have you guys seen these little tipsy-turvy, I think they're called? These are a really great thing to have in this industry, in film as a background artist, as well as a somebody in the wedding industry. I'm just going to pop over here because I have another one as well. This one. So this is a bigger one. So the way you work these is you have, you just put a hair in a pony. I'll just bring this girl here. You can kind of see. You would put her hair in a pony. I'm not going to do. Here, I'll put her over here. And I'll show you guys this just really quickly. It's not going to be perfect application. But it's really great to do for background work. I'm going to put in elastic here first. It's not the greatest elastic. I would probably use a clear one or a brown one. But that's not the point. We're just going to learn how to use these guys. So just go around, whatever, 3 times, make it secure. And then make sure you have a bit of a gap there. But you take this, put it through. And these are cheap. You can get them online for like nothing. So highly recommend it. Take this. So you take this simple updo, and then you kind of take it, put it through the pony, flip it in, and then there you have a beautiful, more interesting than a pony look. You could take this now and sort of just pull it out a bit and take these bits, and then you can work it so that this is hidden a bit more. And usually on a person, there's more hair going on. Moving the hairspray. Better? I'm done there. So yeah, so these are great. This one will do little ones. So maybe on the side of a doll, you can go, or a person. But yeah, they're really great to have in your kit. Oh, topsy tail is what they're called. Okay, so highly recommend. Okay, so let's talk about the industry a little bit in sort of what to expect. Just to make sure it's a good fit for you, or just to actually rethink kind of your idea of what the industry is all about. All right, and they're very similar. I always find the wedding industry and the film industry very similar in just the way they kind of, they work. So first of all, I guess this is a little different. For brides, you're always gonna be working on the weekends. Always on the weekends, always on long weekends, always on holidays. So how many New Year's Eve weddings have I done? I've done a handful of them for sure. I eventually started to turn them down just because I wanted to be with my friends. But sometimes you can get them done earlier so you're back in time to celebrate with your friends. Lucrative day are holidays, and long weekends. So if it's, your May long weekend will be when they probably start. They used to say that the wedding industry was about May to October. And definitely when I first started, it sort of was on that trend. But nowadays, people are getting married during the week just because the venue's available. They want to keep their costs down, and people take the day off and go to their weddings. So it is sort of all over the board now. So yeah, you would have to be prepared to do that. When I did it, I used to take one wedding a weekend just so I had one day break, because I did work during the week as well, teaching makeup and teaching hair. And I just didn't want to have no days off, because that's not any way to function. So you could either do it that way or do 2 in one weekend and then take a full weekend off. Also, if you got a good team and it's something that you were really passionate about, and you found another makeup artist that was just as passionate and you shared weddings, that could also be something where you did one, she did another on the same weekend. Again, a lot of communication. If you're ever going to partner up with someone, just make sure that you guys are on the same page and you work out all of your ideas just so that nothing bad happens, because we don't want that. You also should be prepared to get up at 4 a.m. Not every wedding starts at 3. Some weddings start at 7:30. So you're there at 4. So you're up at 3. It's early. Just like the film industry. When 6 a.m. starts and it's in Langley. So, well, that puts me up at like 4:30. So I can be on the road by 5. So you think about these things. I think for me, once you get in the rhythm of it, it's fine. The one thing that's wonderful about the bridal industry in comparison to the film industry is the fact that you can end your day, if you start at 7, you can end your day at noon or 1 o'clock and have a lot of extra money in your pocket. Whereas if you were doing film, you'd be working probably 7. If you had your call time was 6, you're definitely going to be working till 6:37, sometimes 8 or 9. So it's a long day. Again, the one thing that's similar to in the fact that the film industry is when you start, you're working really hard because you're getting everybody done. If it's a cast heavy day, then you're going to be working really fast. It's like working a bridal party that is a large party. It has a bride, maybe 4 bridesmaids and a mum, maybe the groom's mum as well. So that puts you up at 7, and then so it's busy, you guys. It can be very busy. So important to meet assistants and as well as you have to get up early to fit everybody in, because you don't want to have one person left with nothing done and they're all trying to get in the car and go off to the church. Travel is a big part of the job. Also, again, in film, cars are necessary. You can't expect transit to be running at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning. So cars are really good to have. It is kind of a necessity. I know anybody that I've had as an assistant in the bridal industry, as well as a swing assistant, that's my first question, do you have a car? Because I can't pick everybody up. I will if if it's convenient and it works, but odds are it's not usually that convenient. And again, too, for the bridal industry, if it is your own business, you can obviously, your mileage, your gas, your payments, your car payments are write-offs. So that's another thing that, can help you with your taxes, and it works. Again, too, with a car, you're going to be on time. If you are taking transit with all of your stuff, you guys already know, you guys are students, some of you are industry workers, but that kit that we lug around, taking it on and off a bus, I don't know. I park my car and I find it enough work getting from my car to wherever I have to go, because there are steps everywhere in the cities. Everywhere. And even when you get to your venue, there's steps inside it. So just be prepared to, I know some of these kits, they're so awesome, but they're just very heavy. So break them down, your back. Look after your lower back. I know any makeup artists will know what I'm saying when I say that. The next thing I think is emailing. When you have a bride book, you spend a lot of time emailing back and forth. So your bride will say, are you available? Or what are your rates? And we can talk about rates tomorrow if you want. I can kind of share that a little bit. I don't think we have time today, but with all of that, like I've had brides where you can honestly, there's a 30 email train that goes on. So, and you have to be attentive and answer, and once you've booked them, and then so you've got to think about that when you're thinking about your pricing. Like, don't think of just how much you want to walk away with on that day. Think about all those emails that you're going to have to do. And I was emailing bridesmaids and mothers of the brides, just asking what their hair length was, asking if it was thick or thin. Because if I give a slot, and I would make a schedule, and if I had a slot of like 30-minute slots, and this bridesmaid that I haven't communicated with comes and her hair's down to her waist and as thick can be, well, that's not going to take 30 minutes. And then that might throw my whole schedule off. And then right away, I'm sweating and I'm stressed right out. So save yourself stress. Communication is so important. Take the time and just, design a little I always just designed a little table and just sent it off to the bride and said, can you communicate? And they would often do that for me because it's kind of important to them. And then as I would kind of get the information, then I might choose to contact and go on from there. So do understand that the big part of this is not just performing on the day, it's actually performing in many emails prior to the day. Trials. Trials are also a very important part. I would never do a wedding without a trial. I charge the same as the day. I find that people used to sort of cheat a bit and be like, oh, yeah, come do my trial, and maybe I would do it for not near as much. And then I would find out that they went to a party after or something, and they usually would plan something like that. People that give free consultations, I don't recommend it. You're a makeup artist. You should be respected that that is your profession, and you should charge for it. So I would definitely charge for your trials and always recommend them. I have had a few bridesmaids trials, which I found always a little bit interesting just because it's not their day, but they might just have had a bad experience and just want to know how your style of makeup is. And they often want to know your assistants, like who do you work with, just so that they can see their portfolio as well. So make sure that the people that you work with have a good portfolio. Maybe they're a good beauty makeup artist, but if you look them up, they just have a bunch of special effects stuff, which is great, but it won't help you out when you have to vouch for that person as being amazing. Expect to always do both hair and makeup. So that's why it's really important in this time, you guys. You have free time, you've got your doll, practice. A lot of people don't want to shop around and have a hairstylist come and a makeup artist come and then try to get that all coordinated, because then they're doing the scheduling. I'm not calling the hairdresser or the hairstylist to make a schedule if I'm doing makeup, or vice versa. So they often want just the one-stop shop. So they want you to come and be equipped to do both, and your artists or your assistants to do the same. So just be aware to do that, and you'll make way more money as well. Just mastering a few styles. You could, if you just looked on Pinterest, is a great learning source for just little easy tricks of just how to do something. It does take practice though, and it does take, you can master something on the dolls as well, but it's different on a real human. And then you have to understand too, then you've got fine hair, you've got curly hair, you've got long hair, you've got all these different things that sort of come with it. So good to practice on friends, get some good styles going, and then this would be such a great industry for you. Contracts. Contracts are something that you should always be prepared to do with brides. Not word of mouth, not anything like this. Deposits, again, like we were talking about a bit earlier. Getting a deposit is very, very important, because that day is a day for you. If you have somebody booked on July 1st, you can actually charge higher. So that person you charge, they're good, and then all of a sudden they call it off. I've had 2 brides in the whole time I've done it call off, and I don't even, I give them their deposits back just because I'm heartbroken, unless it's like the day before, but that's never happened. So do be aware that contracts are necessary. It's always hard to talk about money, but you should make sure you charge for it and are contracted out. Get your deposit for the day, include even the bridesmaids. You can even total it all up, divide it by 2, and then 50% deposit. That's kind of the way I did it. Again, you have to also charge for travel. So if I'm doing a wedding and I live in Vancouver, and maybe I'm doing a wedding, and sometimes you can do weddings like maybe in Surrey or White Rock, Langley, but sometimes people are wanting you to go to Abbotsford. That's a far drive, and gas is expensive. Not right now, but it's expensive. And that's like, if you think about it, if it costs you $20 to get there and $20 to get back, maybe you're picking up your assistants as well. So you have to just kind of keep that in mind. They have this little gauge, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's actually a government-run thing that you can actually put your miles in or your kilometers, and it will tell you how much to charge for it. And just be firm on the pricing. Don't take, if somebody's like, oh, that's expensive, just be like, yeah, I'm worth it. You know, you have to make sure that you stand up for your work, and if you practice at it and you're good at it, you should be charged, or you should charge a reasonable amount. And we can talk about that a little bit as well, of what to charge, because it's a big thing, but it is a little bit more of a discussion. So we can maybe talk about that with Zoom tomorrow, perhaps. Again, you need a team of reliable workers. You need to, you know, if there's somebody in your class right now that you know have the same interests, or you know they're good artists, and you're just like, oh, I'm going to keep that person in mind. Connect with people. There are wedding industry meetups. You can meet other people. Some people are really great. Some people are super knowledgeable and helpful and want to share. Other people are not. Other people are like, I'm the greatest, and you know, don't ask me questions type people, and that's fine. They, you know, maybe they have been doing it for 10 years and they are, you know, just, they don't like to share. That's okay. So just understand that good little team that you have, it's just going to help you so much. So if you've got maybe, you know, 3 other artists, that's great, because if you have a wedding party of 7 or 8, that's manageable. You can't go and expect to do 5 styles and 5 makeups. Like if you're doing a wedding, like I wouldn't even do 3 hairstyles and 3 makeups at a wedding. Like top, I would do 2 or 3 services, maybe, like in a way, like I do hair, makeup, and then maybe just hair. That's sort of kind of manageable. But again, too, depends on what the bridesmaid's hair is like, or, you know, what their skin is like as well. Always ask about allergies too ahead of time. I think that's quite important, just to make sure, and that's going back to your emailing and all of that information. Yeah, again, so the last note is to be prepared to work all year round. You're not going to have a slow winter and a really intense summer. It's pretty much year round as well. Be prepared for theme weddings. People love getting married on Halloween, or just having that, they like that kind of thing. So be prepared for that style of wedding as well, which are super fun to do. Okay, so any questions, please write them down and send them off for me tomorrow. Okay, so I think now we'll move on to some bridal trends, and I know that I'm going to have some things come up on screen, and we can just kind of talk about this. So these are for 2020. So the first bridal trend we have is hair bouquets. So I think that's going to go up on the screen. There we go. So you can see here, hair bouquets are a big thing. They kind of made a little joke of like, who wants to carry their bouquet anymore? Let's just throw it in my hair. And I think it's wonderful. I think it's a really cool style. Obviously, the image you see here is pretty avant-garde. So I don't expect that you would be having any brides want that specifically, but just think about hair bouquets. Like people will want them in their hair. If you have your weddings this year, I'm sure half the people might want a hair accessory or a greenery. It might even not be flowery, might be just, you know, some greenery. Just make sure that you communicate with the florist, and I would highly recommend it, just to make sure that you know how to fasten it into the hair. Not that it lasts an hour, so it lasts all night, and that bride can dance away without that flying off her head. Obviously, I think that she would probably take it out, because that would be heavy and probably get in the way a little bit, depending. But if it was smaller and more appropriate, just make sure that you're able to fasten it, and the hairdresser includes something that is secure for you to either bound your bobby pins to and secure it, or maybe it's a clip of some sort, but maybe you can kind of work together on figuring that out. I love it. I think it's nice. Flowers always photograph so nicely, and they're really nice for makeup artists to kind of build on the colors. So if they're like the one here, there's lots of pinkies, tones, maybe that could just be pushed into the makeup as well, just to make a really pretty palette. Okay, the next one, we have bejeweled hair bands. So I love this look. I think it's so fresh and pretty and youthful. And I think it's an amazing thing to have. Like if you have a bride that's interested in this, like just say yes. It takes so little of your time to do. She's got shorter hair, which, you know, is not really updo appropriate. So I think that this look just adds a certain element of, I don't know, it's rich, it's very pretty, I love it. It's also great if someone's got a muted dress, and a lot of the times too, when you're at the trial with people, if you have like a few of these accessories kind of kicking around, like I don't expect you to have something like so totally off the charts amazing, but you can recommend things like, oh, if you're really interested, your hair would look perfect, and maybe she's got a really perfect face shape, and you know, she would just look ideal with this look. Say, oh wow, I think you could pull this off. And then, you know, you can put your 2 cents in a little bit, because you're gonna see a lot of brides and you're gonna see things that look amazing, and you're gonna wanna share those with other brides. So this look is really great. Again, I would recommend it for somebody with shorter hair, very youthful complexion, and just fresh faced. Okay, next one. I think this was it. Marchesa, the same one that we just looked at, the first image that we saw. And again, she's got the flower bouquet. Again, talking about trends all sort of fitting together and what trends are trending. This goes into her lip, and she's got some beautiful berry lips. This is the Dior Lip Glow in berry. We'll touch a little bit on makeup in a bit, but I think that we're not going for like a matte kind of heavily lined lip anymore like we were a few years back. Now we're going for something way more subtle, soft, and feminine. So I think this berry color is going to be quite popular. Well, was going to be quite popular this spring, but these trends I think are from they are from just 2020. So this berry look can actually go into the fall with no problem at all. Next one is another cute one, ribbons and bows. So this is at the Leah Rose runway show. It's very feminine. A lot of the bows were not just on hers. She did this pearl encrusted bow, as you can see up on the screen. It's very it's like that effortlessly chic. It's something you'd probably want to have more of a cleaner style, like she's got maybe the deep side part, a lower ponytail. It just dresses it up, and probably, you know, just a subtle dress, but I don't think you'd want anything too wild with the hair, because it would take away from that beautiful accessory, or it might be just too much going on. A lot of the other brides that had, or like on the runways, the bows were like silky and long and just kind of like just flowing, even velvety ones. So that's always a nice little accessory. Next is crown braids. I think this has been around since, I swear, 10 years, I think even. I've done these so many times. It's such a beautiful look. A lot of times with this look, there are extensions. So if ever somebody does want this look, you can even do the extension first and get that all braided and beautiful, and that way you're just kind of throwing it on and just making it work within the hair she has. I doubt that any of those girls' braids are all their natural hair. I'd be surprised if they were. So just think that. Again, too, brides, sometimes they'll come to you and be like, I want that. It's so beautiful. And then you look at their hair and you're like, that's impossible. I can't possibly put a braid that thick and that long on with your hair. So that's when you would say, oh, you know what? We can absolutely do that, but we have to make sure that you need extensions, and let's go to the extension store, match up your hair type, and then she might go, that's a bit too much work for me, and then you can change her. Maybe she just has to do some more research on what she looks like. It's another thing too, you guys, with hair and makeup, just make sure that people, you know, I had one bride that wanted a purple eyeshadow, and I was like, oh, and she was not like a cool type person, and she wanted it specifically this bluey purpley, and she brought it. And I knew right away it was going to be horrible. So I just said, yes, why don't we do one that eye? And then we'll do the other eye in something where I use more of a plum, because I thought, well, she likes purple, maybe I'll just do a warmer plum and see. Well, right away it was just like, oh my gosh, that one's like, and she chose that one, perfect. Again, trials are important. If that was her wedding day and she showed me that and said, oh yeah, I want this, I would have been like, okay. And then she would have hated it, and then I would have had to redo it, and then all of a sudden I'm an hour behind. So those things, trials save you a lot of time. Okay, and our last trend, which is so pretty, is the rosy lids. Rosy, everything rosy. Rosy lips, rosy cheeks, rosy lids. Very popular for the 2020 bride. I think it looks nice and fresh and beautiful. So that kind of brings us a little bit in to touch briefly on some like 2020 makeup trends. So we can just move on from those images. Thank you. And so now, so just basically 2020 brides, they're going to be very much clean and fresh. So with the 2018, 2019 bride, there was a lot of like full coverage and lots of highlighting. People just loved highlighting. I think even starting in 2015, I'd go back to saying highlighting was a very, very popular thing. And brows were really defined. So that is all going out the window for 2020 brides. I think 21, they want sort of like their sheer foundation. They want their skin to like shine through. They want it dewy. They want fresh. They don't want anything heavy. Lips, again, like I talked about earlier, they'll be muted. It's not going to be a lined, heavy, matte lip. It's going to be, more of a tint or a balm. And, that's always just nice and fresh. Again, rosy shades. You can do warm browns and warm plums, like just dependent. If you've got somebody that is very cool toned, well then you don't want to use anything warm on her eyes. You'd probably want to stick with cooler shades. Again, but if somebody's got some warmth to them, just go into the warm browns and warm plums. That will also give that rosy feel to it. Cheeks and lips also rosy, just to create that soft, effortless, urethral sort of glow, which brides always, our 2020 bride is aiming for. Cream blusher too, I would always do with a cream blusher and use even the same tint that you use on the lips. It will just look always fresh, a dewy finish. And then again, always spray your brides, always use waterproof mascara. Brides are always going to want lashes, but I don't think they're going to want to go for the lashes that we've had in the past few years where they're really strong, or extensions. I think extensions is kind of like getting less and less, or people are going for extensions and just having fewer put in. It's not like that heavy band anymore. So I think that, always waterproof mascara, always seal it with the NARS 24-hour spray or any setting spray, just to make sure that look is nailed. And talking about things further, like having a little kit for the bride, and I used to always make sure that I gave them the tinted balm that I used on them, or the lipstick I used on them, and I included that in the cost of what I would charge for the bride. So things like that to think about. So basically, even for hair, for the whole thing that we're going to get into pretty quick here, laid back locks is sort of the theme. So fuss-free, low buns, strands left out. You just want that effortlessly, beautiful look. It's also great to use your sea salt spray that we made last week. Again, that's got the nice texturing that is good for this look as well. Okay. Just quickly going back into trends. With accessorizing, we've got like our bejeweled hairbands, and then we've got, just lots of those ribbons and bows and things like that. I know these were really popular, these kind of like little hair clips and things that were really quite pretty. Those are also beautiful in a bridal hair. You could kind of almost put them in a certain format. You can just use one. Sometimes one is more. And I thought that like even little barrettes, you can make little things like this. It's just a barrette that could just go in the back of someone's hair or just along the side. You can just have some texture before you pop it in. It's also really beautiful. So I feel like you should expect in 2020, 2021 for your brides that they will have something that they want to put in their hair to dress it up, but having an overall a more simple style. So I wanted to kind of get into just showing you something super quick and super easy just for you to do at home so you can kind of dress up your doll and her bridal hair that you're going to create for your assignment that we'll talk about later. So I made these little hairpins. And they're quite easy. So I've got a little thing that I'm going to have brought up to screen right now. Some supplies that you guys can use. Basically, you're going to need just a few things. So you can see we've got hairpins. Hairpins up there are great because what we're going to do is pop a pearl on the end of the hair tip. So you've got some wire there. And that wire I bought at just at a dollar store. It was $1.37, I think. And it came in copper, which was ideal because my pins were copper. And I had these pearls, I think I got them a while ago. I think we can all find things like this kicking around. I use those tiny pliers to just kind of put down, and those I just had kicking around too. You can even probably use scissors just because the wire is relatively soft. And then you can kind of see in the bottom of the screen, there's the finished product, but you can't really see it because of the mat that I put it on. But if you can go back and I'll show you the step one. Yeah, that's great, Amir. Step one, yeah. So you're gonna take your hairpin and you're just gonna make it straight. And then you're gonna take your little wire, and I put 3 pearls on, so just 2 smaller ones on each side of a big one, and I put that in and I put it in the middle. And then step 2 is to attach it. So I took the 2, going back to step 1, you can see there's 2 straight bits. I just put them together and then like side by side, and then I took the 2 ends and then I wrapped them around. So it just did a tight little wrap of that end on the top of the one. So back to step 2, and then I just sort of attached it. And then step 3, I brought down the wires, or the hairpin back to its normal state. So these are great, that's great, thanks Amir, are great just to kind of add in. So again, using the hairpin, you don't want to do it on a bobby pin, because if you do it on a bobby pin, you actually have to push that bobby pin into something, whereas this, you can just sort of slide in the hair and it will just add a bit of an element. And if you had like, I don't know, 7 roaming around, that's awesome. So those are something you can kind of make if you have time. I made 4. You can get a little bit like it's working small with your hands, but they turned out pretty cute, and I like the way they look, and they'll just dress up our bridal updo. Another thing I was going to say was that I had these hair bands and things kicking around, and these are also really nice. They're kind of a little bit bejeweled, and maybe we can add this in. Now, you don't necessarily have to use it as a hairband per se. You can actually use it even just propping it and putting it in upside down and just having it maybe come out at the bottom. We'll play with that and see what we can come up with. So I think we will now get into our taking out our girls' rollers. Just one more thing prior is I have these hair, these extensions that I've created just because I was going to pop in. I think I have 2 or 3 that I'm going to pop in because it's just going to be a different color to her hair. So I'll just show you how I do that while I'm styling and completing the updo. Okay, so let's get on with that. I'm just going to move a few things out of the way. Clear my space. And then take this girl and just going to put her away. So let's just start, and we'll start kind of taking out our hair. I'll do it this way. Okay. So we'll just take out each of this. I'm going to do sort of one row at a time. What I would like to do is, I'm going to put these back in as I go. We'll do one row. And then when you're taking these out, it's often that your bride will probably have dry ends, who knows. But it is a good idea. I just have a little bit of Smooth Again. It's a Kevin Murphy product. And I just take it and just at the ends, just run it through. It takes away any kinks that maybe happened in your roller set as well. Keeping everything nice and healthy. And you can even take the strands and start sort of kind of pulling them from being in their groups of 3. I also have a curling iron here turned on, should something maybe not have like curled the way I wanted it, so I could manipulate that. So don't always just go in with your roller set and not another hot tool. You should always have hot tools. Again, just working out the hair. Again, if you do this right, it's going to save you so much time in your final look. I'm going to put a little bit of shine in here as well. Just going to pull that through. Okay. Again, it's the curls too sometimes might going to be different curl than a curling iron roller set, and that's okay. Oh, geez. Again, pulling the hair together. I'm going to grab a little more pomade here for my hair ends. Can get very messy when I'm doing this. I know lots of you guys with makeup too, it's just like your station after. It's a little bit of a nightmare, but it's okay, you're getting the job done. I always try, I always have such great goals to be very tidy. I think we're in the moment of designing and creating that we're just throwing things around. Whew, that one came out a bit weird. It's okay. You can always find it again to the curl if you just put it back in. Again too, taking these sections here, maybe building them together. Maybe a little bit of shine spray. Just keep everything nice. Taking these, just trying to work out the little parts that you might get. Okay, other side. Don't Don't put too much product on your hands as well, because then it might get too heavy and greasy looking, which you don't want. And it's really hard to go back if you've done it. All right. I feel like a lot of the time too, when you're doing your styling, that there's that detailing that you have to do at the end of each style, because otherwise, like I'll do the style, but then I'll spend time just playing around with everything to make sure it's what I like. I could spend forever, just like makeup too, right? When you're doing makeup and you can fuss with it forever. And then you're like, okay, I'm done. Just walk away. All right. It's getting the back sorted. You can see the volume that's sort of created from that set, which is really nice. Last 2 pins. Another thing too, always make sure you have your supplies with you. There's nothing like getting ready and having that perfect time to put a pin in and you don't have a pin. Okay, last out. Okay. Looking pretty fancy. So you can see your hair looks nice and shiny. Again, to the ends, you can always sort of, like if the bride has a lot of dry ends, you can always tuck them under. So if that is a bit of a problem, usually brides will get their hair cut. Okay, so you're just gonna kind of sort. So now what I want to do is, because I'm doing an updo, I'm gonna start with putting it half up, half down. So I'm gonna start to kind of pull the hair back and spray it. So just to kind of make it work. I don't want to pull it back like right now because it's not nice. Like there's no texture, there's nothing interesting happening. So you want to work it in a little bit, and then you want to get your shaping spray. You don't want to use a hold spray because then you're not going to be able to work with it. So I'm going to take this, and this is kind of when you're going to start to kind of see sort of how you might want that look. Again, put a clip in it to make sure that you want that to stay. Kind of working it. Again, you want to do that with the other side too. And again, putting spray in it. And then you're going to sort of kind of play a little bit with it just to make sure it's how the one. This is when I said to you to make sure the bride has a mirror. You can be like, how do you feel about that look? So you can sort of start to separate it. Kind of give it a little bit of texture. This is also great. Do your salt spray that we made in there. Just give it a bit more separation. Okay, and then I'm going to start to take those. I'm going to kind of bring it up a bit, but I want to get into the crown and just do a bit of soft teasing. But I like to start this step here because it really helps give the direction and get sort of that going. So I'm just going to just take it and pin it. And now I'm going to have this back part exposed. So now what I want to do is just get in here and just take this. Again, sorry, I have to turn it this way a little bit, do the side view. And you want to tease it. I have this really great brush here. It's got a few little combs in one, and it works really nice. Again, doing a little bit of hairspray in there. I will go into my extra hold hairspray here and just spritz that in. And just work a few more pieces. Again, you want to sort of go with the direction of the head or the shape of the head, I should say, just to make sure that it's big at the crown and then tight at the nape. Okay, do a little more spritz in there with my number 9. And then I'll sort of pull it. Some brides don't like teasing, and that's fine. You don't have to do that. I always just say, well, you know what? Your hair is going to lose volume, so we put a little bit of teasing in now. It'll maintain that shape. Okay. Now I'm going to pull this all back here again. Now, this is probably a good time to decide what bits you want to have out. And we can kind of pull them out at the end, but I always find sometimes that might be a bit of a problem with pulling out your style. So I'm going to take this now, and I'm going to take maybe sort of the top section. I'll leave a little bit more there, then I can feed it in. That same kind of top section that we did for the first roller set. Now this I could also put in an elastic and put my topsy-turvy if I wanted to, just to create that look. Again, I'm going to spray. Texture, texture. Then I'm going to sort of divide it into 2. I'm going to get some bobby pins here ready for me. And then I'm just sort of going to twist the one section around and bobby pin in. And I'm going to put the bobby pin in upward. And then I'm going to take the bobby pin and do another one and move it across. Take the same section on the other side, meet it, and do another bobby in, meeting it again, and popping another one back in to secure it. So it sort of meets halfway here. I'm going to spritz that. I'm going to go back to the front just quickly because I want to make sure that I've got it the way I want. So I'm just going to kind of pull it out and hairspray it. Pull it out and hairspray. Let's kind of put some texture in there. Again, we don't want this to be too contrived. And then you can keep sort of, make sure that it's just nice and secure. Then I'm going to take the sides and twist them a bit. And to give it more texture, take that front bit. I'm going to twist it. Making sure I've got my side bits and my little piece here maybe. I'll kind of put a little bit more pieces there. Then you're going to sort of twist it back, around, and then you're going to take it and you're just going to sort of pull it out. So you've just got some good texture there. Again, I'm going to spray it. I might even take a pin here and just pin this a little bit so that it stays a bit more uniform there. I'm going to tuck it in. And I will pin it. So now we've got a little bit more texture along here. I find sometimes this look looks a bit more interesting with blondes because there's more hair color change. So it can look a little bit more definition. So that's why we're going to put those things in next. I'm going to repeat the same on this side with the twisting. Just going to spritz again a little bit here. Pull that part of there. So again, this detailing too of making sure that the shape is what you want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to take this side here. Oop. Take a little piece out. Then again, I'm going to twist it around again. Twist the other way. Make it a little more tighter at the bottom here. And then I'm going to take it and pull it out a bit. And then again, sort of tuck it in the back. Sort of still in that same area that I've been at for a bit. I'll turn her around and show you in a sec. Secure it as well. It's always nice to try to find and hit another pin and try to cross through it. I always find sometimes too when you're doing a hairstyle, you're like, well, I don't know where it's going. And then it all comes together as long as you follow it. So we sort of got this here and this kind of interesting thing here happening. So now what I want to do is I'm going to put some of the extensions in. And then I'm going to kind of twist them and put them back into the look. So this is kind of our starting point. So we're happy we've got the bride likes the volume, she likes the way it looks in the front, she likes her bits, and we'll curl those and add a little bit of that later. Let's try not to make it too slicked and perfect. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of shine in here first. Because we're kind of done sort of the hard part in that section. All right, so let's take this that I've already curled already. And now, just gonna get these ones ready too. Ooh. Okay, so you've got this. Now I'm just going to lift up the hair a little bit and I'm going to cover this too a little bit more. And you can take it, there's a couple of different ways. Just the way her hair is kind of a bit gritty, I don't necessarily have to do it, but I'll take a little bit of back combing just so that the teeth of this can sink in. So just go in there and I'll pop that in. So her hair is going to be it's got a bit more texture here. I'm going to take this and just give it a quick curl. And you could add a bit of curl anywhere you want if you wanted a little more texture. Again, we want that to cool nice, so we'll just put it in a bit. Okay, and let's take the other one. I think I want this one. Is it just going to pop in again? Push it down. Uh-oh. Sometimes they are hard to clip in. You don't want to press it too hard, pull it out. There we go. Okay, so now we've got those in. I'm going to curl that. You can kind of see, you can see the ends, but we're going to fix that. Sorry. I'm blocking. Okay, so let's put a little more curl into this. And now what we just want to do is play and make it interesting, and not play per se, but like just take our time into sort of organizing how we want the hair to look. Okay. So I'm going to take this bit here, and I'm basically just grabbing sections. And then I'm going to take my extension, and I'm just going to twist that into this. And I'll show you guys when I do this on the other side. And you're just going to make it so that this and this sort of work together here. Taking it up a bit, pulling it, spraying, lots of spraying, and then I'm going to pin it in. Not all the way at the end, but sometimes I kind of weave my pin in as my bobby pin just to get it in, and it's nice. Then I'm going to do the other side as well, that same bit. I still have this to deal with. And I'm going to try to do the same thing on that side, and then I can swing it back in, and then we're almost done. Then we'll just go and do our detailing, pop our pins in. Again. So basically, I'm just taking each section, twisting, pinning, pulling. And again, just making sure everything's fastened. So again, just making sure everything's balanced. Pull things out. Spray, always spray. Now I have this section here that I'm just gonna work back. But actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna leave those out right now and do the back part. And then I'll feed those in at the end. So I'm gonna take this back section here. You may wanna leave that bit out too, just to keep that look. I'm gonna just take this and I'm just gonna put some of the spray in. And then I'm going to take it, divide it into two as well, and then I'm going to twist it again. Twisting it around. Again, pulling out bits, because again, it's nothing contrived. And then you just want to take it and just make it into like a little bun. And then I'm just going to pin in the ends. And I'll twist, show it, turn around and show you. And the one thing about, you can sort of start to see that was just all twisted. Then we can take these bits here, make sure those ends are nice. We can just kind of twist them, pop them in. And I think this is a perfect time to add one of our little things here. We'll do the same on the other side. I wanted that one out. And we'll just roll that in. I'm going to just use a normal hairpin this time around. Hairpins are nice because sometimes there comes a point where you don't want to wreck the under area, but you need the hair to be in. Like this, maybe we don't want that. Kind of looks like a little tail. So we want to tuck it in. Perfect time to put a little pin in. All right. So this is the part that happens when you spend all of this next time detailing. I'm not going to spend so much time detailing because that's just boring, but I'm going to take this, for example, I'm going to roll it in. This, get a little bit of heat in there. I don't want it to look like a ringlet at all, but I do want a bit of movement just so it's not a hunk of hair just hanging there like it was accidentally forgotten about. Again, this might be a good time for our salt spray just to kind of give it a little bit more of a messy look. Again, I'm going to do these together. Again, I think I'm going to put some of this in again. So it's a little bit less contrived. Separate those. Okay. Then back at the end here, I'm going to look. I'm going to see, well, it's a little bit off center because I'm trying to turn it around so much. So I'm going to see if I can kind of pop that in and secure that. Get some pins here. And with this look too, again, you guys, sometimes you're like, oh, whoa, I don't know, this isn't going how I wanted it to go. Just be patient. Usually your hairstyle will come together if, of course, you're not just winging it and doing all these, you want to be prepared. Okay, so I've kind of got it shifted back to normal again. And then now we can add in some of our pins. Oh, I was going to show you too, I did this once before and it was kind of cool, where you just sort of put this in, maybe there's a hole or something, you can kind of shove it up and just have sort of just an extra sort of accessory that's not really a hairband, but we can kind of put it in. You can even pull some of this hair out and pop it in if you wanted to. Be creative. Just make sure it's in there correctly, and this one whoops, won't go past. There we go, that's what I wanted. And maybe it would have been nicer if I was more thoughtful in the beginning and put it under and in. And then you can take your pins here that you created here and just pop them sort of wherever. Maybe that one's too close. These are great to add just a touch of something and kind of help you let me look and see what's happening here. I just even almost just like those three. Just do one more here. So there's your sort of finished look. And again, you can kind of still like feel free to play around and kind of pull things out a bit. Like I always feel the more you spend at like, I'm gonna ditch this, I'm not too excited about it. I did it before and I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool, but she's not feeling it with her. And then just go around, you guys, and just secure. I always, at the end of all the times that I do an updo, I always ask the bride to shake her head at the end just to make sure that it is secure. And then I ask her, how does that feel? And she's like, oh, it's awesome. Like, great, perfect. So just play around a little bit more. And again, too, it always sort of looks really nice at the end with the makeup on and the dress. Everything sort of comes together and it starts to become a full finished look. So again, I would spend more time detailing, but I won't bore you with that. So we'll pop this out. And then that's sort of kind of the end. So she's got sort of a, again, it's a little bit, you wanted to make sure that she's working, like you have a mirror too that you're checking. I just noticed now this bit here, I'd pull that in just to make sure that it wasn't, you don't want things sticking out on the sides of their heads as well. So I'd secure that down as before I let her go. And sometimes you can always take out bobby pins and things too that aren't doing anything for you anymore, because that sort of happens. Sometimes you need it and then you're like, that pin doesn't even make sense why it's there, and it's not holding it because another pin in another section is doing the job for you. All right, so that's kind of your bridal look. So just remember when you're doing things, like kind of make sure you always go with the hair. So you kind of make sure you're guiding it in the direction that you want, and then you're kind of clipping in, adding in. The twisting gives nice, lovely texture, and then you can build it all into something that is a very messy chic sort of bun that is really popular for 2020. Okay, so I look forward to any questions. I hope I was able, it's kind of a little bit challenging to do just with everything turning around. I think okay, perfect. All right. Okay, you guys. So we're sort of finished the lesson that I was planning for us. Just let me check my notes. Yeah, so the assignment that Anna and I have talked about is for you to do an updo, a messy style updo, incorporating some of the techniques that I showed you today. I keep looking at her and seeing the one side. There we go. I want to tuck that in a little bit more. So you will do this look on a doll, an updo, messy style. Don't think too much, don't overthink, and don't give up halfway through, get to the end of it. And then I would like you guys to do a makeup. I would love if you kind of incorporated some of the trends, doing some rosy colored lips and cheeks and eyes. I'd love if you made some pearl things to kind of decorate your work with. Have a little fun. If you guys got excited, maybe had some flowers around your house, throw in some flowers. Accessories are really great because they can actually cover up things too. If sometimes we have clients that are, just thinning hair in some areas, and that's a great way to fill something up with a look like that. So that is the assignment that you're going to be working towards. So a bridal updo, messy chignon style with an accessory of some sort, and then a makeup application that is everything we talked about, fresh for our 2020 bride. And I think that's everything that I have to share today. So I think we should open up questions. If anybody has any, please bring them on. I'm ready for it. I'm just gonna kind of do a little tidy and see if I see anything. Ooh, see where having some glitches. Well, I'm glad that got working. Thanks to our video tech guy up there. All right, well, no questions are firing in right now, and that is okay. You guys can think about things and let me know your thoughts. Again, too, we'll be Zooming tomorrow between 10 and 12 if you want to check in, and we can talk about some more things tomorrow. All right, I guess.
There's a saying of a delay, so the questions might be coming up in a couple.
Oh, okay, okay. So we're gonna wait a little bit more for questions to come up, and I can maybe do a little tidying. I don't know. Again, like the bridal industry, it's an industry that is very lucrative, meaning the money you make is excellent. It's something that is referral based, so once you do it for 2-3 years, you start getting, I always call them organic weddings, where it's not, you're not advertising yourself, but you are really, you know, getting a lot of just referrals from friends. And usually I find that, I remember having this one wedding party, and she had a lot of friends. I think she had like 8 friends, and they were all in the wedding party. It was a big one. I think I had 4 assistants for it. And then, you know what happened is everybody was happy. And every person, because they were all in that same age group, they all started getting married. And I think I got another 7 weddings out of that group. And then I'd see them again and be like, oh, hey. And it was neat. So I was kind of, yeah, bridal's fun. All right, Lally, see you tomorrow. And I see Catherine's there. Hi, Catherine. Okay, good. We're gonna sign off. See you guys, bye.